Good afternoon, everyone. This week, we're once again doing a satellite location for our weekly legislative update. This time, we're here at REG, just following up our March legislative luncheon, in which we had 5 of our 6 legislators present today. Rob Bacon was unable to attend because he had a commitment up in Webster City, but we had a very lively discussion on several of the issues that I want to cover right now. There's about 6 issues that I really want to touch on this week's weekly legislative update. They include Future Ready Iowa, which passed the Senate and the House unanimously and will be getting signed into law by the governor here in the next week or so. She'll have to figure out where she wants to have the event because it was one of her priority bills, so she'll definitely want to have a showcase when she signs that bill. But also the Deappropriations Bill, a little bit less cheerful, $35.5 million reduction to the FY 2018 fiscal revenues for the state was passed both chambers and now awaits consideration from Governor Reynolds, which she is expected to sign here in the next week or so. And then also tax increment financing. A bill came up in House Appropriations, which would make it possible for school districts and counties to opt out of their respective portions of the levy for a TIFF project. So just a city, for example, would have their portion of the taxable revenue that would be eligible for an urban renewal area project. And essentially what that would do is cutting out the school and the county would cut it down about $890 per thousand as far as value in the agreement. It's important to note, though, that the county and school district could opt in for large projects if you could get, obviously, mutual agreement upon all of them that they wanted to be part of that project. This would free up some of the money for backfill that the state has to backfill whenever a TIF project is used. So that's kind of what makes it very attractive for them to look at that, because it could save them about $60 to $70 million depending on the year. So that's why we see them going after that. The chamber is obviously against that bill. We always have fought to protect TIF, and we'll continue to do that, especially with Dave Dio being on the subcommittee for the bill. We'll have someone local that we can really speak to our motives and our thoughts on the bill going forward, and we expect a subcommittee next week. Another issue that I want to also talk about is the tax bill. We saw the Senate pass a bill 3 or 4 weeks ago, but that frankly was dead on arrival in the House. The House is now looking at coming up with their own bill. The governor's bill that does not include corporate income tax reform is currently in the House, but the House is looking at doing an amendment that would potentially include corporate. There's quite a bit of support for corporate being included, but it needs to be done in a fiscally responsible way. So we're watching how that's going to get done down under the Golden Dome here next week, or maybe the week after that, but we really watch that closely because that's one of our top priorities, along with Future Ready Iowa, which already, like I said, passed and will be getting signed by the governor. Another topic of conversation, especially from the cities, counties, and school districts, is the property tax backfill. That was something that was talked about a lot here today. And we hear that it's likely that we see a phase out, but it'll be in outlying years. It'll be over about a 4 to 5 year phase out rather than the proposal the Senate originally put in for a 3-year phase out. So that would cut the pain a little bit. And they did talk about a little possibility of including some revenues in the property tax backfill, keeping them for communities, cities, and counties that aren't seeing growth to kind of hold them harmless. But we'll have to wait and see how that discussion goes because it's all hypothetical now. So we'll want to see that actually get codified through a legislative bill itself. The SAVE extension for the school infrastructure penny, that's something that's moving in the House and Senate. We expect that to move out of the House Ways and Means Committee, or I should say be discussed in the House Ways and Means Committee next week, and it passed out of the Senate Ways and Means Committee this week. So we expect that to continue to move forward and hope that it will pass because it's hugely impactful for our school districts as they look to bond out for some projects like the New Ames High School or the improvements being made up in Gilbert and others throughout the state, obviously. As you can tell, there's quite a bit of issues going on right now down at the Capitol. One of the biggest things we're going to start seeing here in the next couple weeks, now that adjournment is supposed to be April 17th, is the budget targets will be coming out here at some time in the near future. We don't know when in the next couple weeks, though. We expect to see those, and those are going to be hugely important because then we'll kind of know what we're looking at as far as appropriations for the Regent universities and economic development and other pieces that we watch day in and day out, the RIF budget, the Renew Iowa's Infrastructure Fund. So we'll be watching for those to come out, and then we'll continue to fight for each of the bills that I highlighted before. So please come back and listen next week. There's sure to be another eventful and legislative and policy-filled week. So we look forward to having another great update for you next week. Thank you, and have a good week. And